Scientists once conducted an experiment to see what effects early environment and circumstances have on a being's concept of itself. So this is a true story. For the experiment, they used a baby rabbit, which was taken away from its mother just after it was born. It was put in a nest with a hen because hens are known to take in other animals that are not of their kind. So a lot of what the bunny grew up with from the hen, it learned all the chicken habits. It learned to peck at its food. It learned to roost with the chickens every evening. It even developed a chicken-like hop. When it grew up, the scientists took it away from the hen and put it back in with the other rabbits. Now you might think that then the baby rabbit would act like a rabbit, but this did not happen. In fact, he cowered in a corner of the hutch and he wouldn't have anything to do with the other rabbits. He got so upset that he wouldn't eat or drink. After a while, the scientists put him back with the chickens so he wouldn't die. He perked right up and was very glad to be back home. We too are taught who we are from the very beginning, from a very, very our first age, our inception. So here are the questions then. What if we weren't taught the truth? What if what someone taught us was all wrong? It was all the wrong stuff, sometimes on purpose, usually subconsciously. And how would we even know if we were learning the wrong stuff? How in the world will we ever figure it out? And what was right? How would we figure out what was actually right? These questions constitute the opening of a book that we will spend the month of May exploring, and it's not a new book. It's over 20 years old, and it was written by Lenadra Carroll, who, in addition to being an author and a motivational speaker, was the mother of a pretty famous person, Jewel. So this is her mom. The book is entitled The Architecture of All Abundance. Given that title, you might think that this is a book all about prosperity and abundance. But after diving into the introduction, we quickly realize it is so much more than just a prosperity book. It is a book that lays out the architecture, a building plan for the way we live our lives, a foundation. As we know, all great buildings, strong buildings, sturdy buildings are built on a strong foundation. And so that too is the same for us. That what we believe and what we show up in the world is the stronger the foundation, then the stronger and more centered are we. And so she wrote this. This was the dedication in the book. This book, like my life, is dedicated to the understanding of divine excellence within each of us, that when lived, uplifts our humanity and moves us beyond our current limitations and difficulties and into the revolution of the soul, and it is certain transformation of our individual lives, our planets, and our species. Really powerful stuff. And that's what the book is about. What we are being guided to call forth in the divine excellence that resides within each and every one of us, so that we can shift that transformational the transformational life, the unity of all life on this planet. And our species can then be transformed. It might not look like we are, but we are. After watching the movie on Wednesday, this fabulous movie, The One Field, great movie, about how we are all vibrational beings, and that what comes forth is this integration of light and sound and vibration, and that is the truth of who each and every one of us are, so much more than what appears in this life. Buckminster Fuller said, "We are called to be architects of our future, not its victims." So we are in charge of our lives. The first place to start on this journey then is within, because there really isn't any other place. Within, that divinity within. The answer to all of life's questions really reside within us. I believe that every question comes in with an answer already, and this morning it's my hope that we learn the tool to really deepen into how we can find those answers easily. The Architecture of Stillness is the title of this talk this morning, and it is also a chapter in the book, and it suggests this. This is what she writes. "Stillness is the spring that all rivers flow from, and the ocean that all rivers flow back into. Stillness underlies all movement, informs all life. It is the vitality that creates us, surrounds us, and supports us. The source of stillness is the source of all creation. It is the essence in which we live, breathe, and have our being. Just as there are many roads to the divine, there are many channels to this stillness, the many routes that move us inward. Through prayer, through meditation, through chanting, through being in nature, solitude, sacred writing, ceremony, music, even gardening. All of these things can bring us to that still, peaceful place within us that knows all that is our truth of our being. And the method is not nearly as important as the commitment to this practice. It is a repeated journey into silence that brings the reward of stillness. The Dalai Lama, when asked, "What is the meaning of life?" simply replied, "Happiness. Happiness is the meaning of life." Now the real question becomes, how do we live our lives in happiness? So this morning I'm going to suggest a specific type of stillness. A type of stillness that has inherent in it the ability to transform situations. A type of stillness that has the power of insight beyond our rational minds. A type of stillness that enables us to know that which we may not have known. And it all sounds pretty good, right? That's what we're going to be exploring this morning. You might be thinking, this method, this technique, must be very complicated and mysterious, and only the master teachers can possibly know it. And that's not so. As we know, the greatest lessons in life are based in simplicity. This can be done by anyone, beginning here and starting now. Our author, Lenedra Carroll, happened on this transformation when she was only 9 years old. And here's her story, and this is a little bit long, but it's really important because it's the basis of the book, how she developed this innate relationship with her divinity at 9. So I'm going to share the whole story that was written in the book. She was in 3rd grade. She was having a wonderful, wonderful time playing in the snow, making snowballs of various shapes. This was a very sophisticated process for her. She got a bucket of water and crepe paper. Wetting the crepe paper, it left swaths of red and green on the snow. And patiently she would wet the snow and pat, wet the snow and pat. Soon her mittens became soggy. She did what any third grader would do. She took them off and continued on her creative effort. Eventually, she had a wonderful red heart that she made with white lace and a green duck. That's what she had created, and she was pretty satisfied with her work. But noticed for the first time that her hands were aching, really aching. In fact, they were pretty numb, and they looked grayish and waxy and very puffy. She intuitively knew that something was wrong. So she again did what any third grader would do. She ran inside to show her mom. Her mother took one look at her hands and got a little panicked and pulled her back outside and put her hands in the snow and rubbed them together. And Lenadra is like, what's going on? Am I dying? And her mom, after thrusting her hands in the snow and rubbing them together, it started to really hurt. And Lenadra cried out and pulled them away. And her and her mother became engaged in this tug of war. Give me your hands. No, it hurts. Mom tried to explain to her that it was frostbite. And this is what the doctors say, this is what you do. And she must do this if she wanted her hands to heal and wouldn't lose any of her fingers. No, said Lenadra, it doesn't help. The doctors are wrong. Mother gets very upset and frustrated, straightens up, puts her hands on her hips and says, very well, Miss Smarty Pants. You know so much, you figure it out. And okay, I will, said Lenadra. The mother stomps off into the house. Lenadra stomps in after her. And as a child, she was usually not any trouble whatsoever. But something unusual was going on inside of her. She sat on the couch and gazed at her hands. Her mother's challenge to figure out ricocheted in her brain, and she was consumed with the thought that she could know. She could know. Even though she was only 9, she thought, it's my body, I can heal it. What is the right thing for me to do? I know I can figure this out. She peered at her hands and wondered fervently what to do. What is the answer? Then something happened. She saw what to do. She literally saw her hands in a different way. She saw them as shimmering matter, and in them she saw little round things filled with liquid. She understood that the liquid had become frozen, and the walls of these little blobs were very fragile when they got rubbed hard together. They could break each other and leak. She understood that her hands needed to be warmed very slowly. So she quickly put her hands under her armpits, and they began to sting. Too high, too soon, she thought. She went to her mom and explained that these little round things in her hands that were filled with liquid, when they are frozen, the walls become very fragile, and they need to be warmed very gently and very slowly. She explained that she tried to place her hands under her armpits, but that was too warm. The mother sat quiet for a moment, still rather perturbed at her headstrong daughter, and then said, well, there are cells in your hands, perhaps. And suddenly she said, let's run them under some cool water, and then we'll make the water a little warmer gradually. Lenadra knew, with an inner knowing, that that was the right thing to do. And soon her hands were hot and not puffy and returned to their normal state. They were fine. And the miracle was that this 9-year-old needed to know something. She got quiet, and the answer revealed itself to her. She suddenly just knew what the right thing to do. And it just bubbled up from somewhere, from some place that knows all the answers. A place within each and every one of us that knows the solution to every problem that exists. We can know anything, and it's all right here. We just have to get still and ask. Still and ask. Just because someone has taught us a way that this should be, this is the way it is, this is the way it is, doesn't mean it's right. But that divinity within us knows the truth, if we but get still and turn within. Ernest Holmes wrote in Science of Mind, "Let us learn to be still and let the truth speak through us, to be still and know that the inner light shines." How powerful are we? That inner light is within each and every one of us. We are light beings. That's what we truly are. Now, Lenager developed a system which she called, what did she call it? She called it her dream machine, how to come to know. And in a moment, all of us are going to have an experience of this. But here's a couple of important things to know about this process. During it, perhaps this will happen for you. As you pose your questions or concerns or impending decisions, suddenly out of the blue, you know what that means, answers may come, or something may add up, or you may be pointed to a new direction. You may simply come to know something that you didn't know the moment before, or you might not. Sometimes answers are revealed to us in a couple of hours, in a couple of days. When we're in the middle of doing something else, we get this idea. I know it's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened to most of us. Where, oh my gosh, could be in the middle of doing something, and it's like, wow, I have the answer to that which I posed a week ago. Another thing, the more you practice this method of stillness, the more you will come to learn there is nothing you cannot know for yourself. There is nothing you cannot know for yourself. You know the truth. We each do. We know the absolute truth of who we are. Great wisdoms and new ideas, comfort and peace, solution to practical matters and difficult questions. All of it is known. It's all known within us. There is so much to access beyond our individual minds. It is a vast universe of wisdom that is our birthright to access. We come into this human experience as divine beings. No one taught us that, but that's exactly what we did. That divine intelligence imparts its wisdom, and it only requires stillness and commitment and practice to remember to turn within. This is the first step in building a life. This is the strong foundation. Accessing the God within, accessing our soul. When we access the soul, what comes forth is pure knowingness. When you know that you know that you know. You just do it. And all things come together to help that manifestation unfold. Begin asking for your soul's voice to speak to you. Learn to hear it. And usually you will know it because it is full of peace and love. It's coming from a place within us that is filled with peace and love. You will always know your soul's voice by that quality. So let's have an experience right now. So I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths, just a couple of really lovely deep breaths. Now imagine that you are floating in a pond. It is a pond as big as the ocean. It is the ocean of your being. You are bathed in it. There is nothing that is not in it. It is the pure source of all that is. It has everything in it that is possible to know or feel or think or see. The whole wide world is in it. It is a safe and beautiful place. Feel that beauty, that safety, that letting go and letting God atmosphere. And slowly let yourself sink down in the ocean of being. Breathing underwater is not difficult, it's not a problem. So you need not worry about that. And slowly, slowly sink to the bottom. It is a lovely sandy bottom. There are plants and fish and shells. And just sit there and enjoy it for a time. And remember, it's a very safe place. And then look up. See the surface far, far above. It shimmers like a jewel in the sunlight. Begin to watch all things that are floating on this surface. Your thoughts, pictures of things, even people's faces. Just let it drift by. What a peaceful place this is. Even if there is a storm raging on this surface, something you are questioning or worrying about, or a decision you have to make, you are deeply peaceful just where you are. Realizing that it's just a surface storm, and in this deep place of calm, it can't touch you. Journey deeper into the silence, into the depths of being, in the stillness. Come to know that you are love. You are abundance. You are peace. You are wholeness. You are the answer that you long for. In this ocean of being, you are one with Source, the God of all things. So let us simply be in the stillness here and now, this place, space, so filled with peace. And now as you gently, oh so gently, and easily return to the surface of the ocean of being. Return ever so easily into this room space here. All is calm. All is well. All is done. So let us move our hands, because I see people are just floating. We're floating in the ocean of love, the ocean of stillness. Stillness being that place within us that we truly connect with everything we have ever wanted. It is already present. It is up to us to believe this and to practice this and to know that God is always present within us, guiding us and loving us. And so we